I think the stage is now set. My microphone, into the stage is now set. Mate minuanomi enka senye ena anke radio so and we want to give you a feel of what we do on radio every weekday. So those are the powerful voices you hear. Ebia unhu omo enim that omai hene kwabna asante. He hosts Jason Semon Adom FM, and that's his co-host, Abra Pokuya Arene. I host Ekusi Semon Asempa, and Ekuya Boachuai Adom is also my co-host, together with Omai Hene Kwabna Asante on Ekusi Say. So that's the faces behind the voices you hear. Thank you so much. We would have to move on quickly and pick the speeches, and then we'll come back in due course. So we share our opinions on what we hear. Thank you so much, and thank you to my colleagues. God bless you. God bless you so much. So we'll make progress. We'll make progress and pick the speeches. The first speech we would pick now would be the speech of the Deputy Minister in charge of lands and natural resources, and he is representing the minister in charge of the sector. Very, very important conversation, and he decided to join us. You know, there is a cabinet meeting currently underway, and that the minister himself couldn't make it. So Honorable Alhaji Yusuf Suleimana also doubles as MP for Bole Bamboy. A round of applause for him, please.
Okay. I think I'm tall enough to fit in. The chairperson, Your Royal Highness, the Government Chair, who is also the president of the Ga Traditional Council. Very handsome. As I sit there and I watch him, I was asking myself, these beautiful women who are here, what was going through our minds? We are privileged to have you here to chair this very important function for us. I want to acknowledge the representative of the Chief of Staff, who is the guest of honor for this program. We have in our midst very important traditional authorities, and I want to acknowledge their presence. We have my own father, the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Kwe. I remember one time I stood up on the floor of Parliament for a very long time, and he wouldn't turn to look at my side because he knew that I was going to cause some mischief. We are happy to have you here. We have in our midst the administrator of the Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund. We have other CEOs who are here. Of course, my good friend, the former Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, is here with us. Representatives of our regulatory institutions, the representative of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, the GA president is here. We have representatives from the Small Scale Mining Association, of course, very important, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My boss, Honorable Emmanuel Amakufubua, would have wished to be here in person. But just as we were told, another very important assignment has taken him somewhere, and so he's asked me to represent him. It is a pleasure to join this year's National Mining Stakeholders Conference 2026, under the theme Local Content, CSR, and the Catchment Compact, rethinking the social license to operate. Let me first congratulate the organizers of this very important program for choosing a topic that resonates the everyday experiences of the industry players and people living in our various mining communities. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that conversations on mining in Ghana often span production, investment, revenue, exports, and the other contributions that the mining sector contributes to our economy at the expense of the direct benefits and connections to the mining communities. For the people living in these mining communities, the question often is much simpler than we thought. They always want to ask, how do mining activities benefit us? It is for this reason that I think that the discussion on local content and the catchment compact is so very important. Our chairperson, local content should not simply count the number of Ghanaians employed, but rather look beyond the payroll of these mining companies. More specifically, the following are valid questions that need to be asked. 1, are Ghanaian businesses getting opportunities to supply goods and services and developing the capacity to compete for large contracts? That is the question, a legitimate question to ask. The other question to ask is that, are young people acquiring skills that will remain useful even after a particular mining operation has changed or closed? Then we also want to ask, are we transferring technology and knowledge, and how much of the value created by mining companies remain in this country after they had exited? These are the questions that will help us assess the strides made in promoting local content. The Minerals Commission, in advancing the local content, has 1, developed a mining local content and local procurement policy framework that prioritizes Ghanaian participation. 2, they have also created a more structured basis for Ghanaian businesses to participate in the mining value chain. Minerals Commission has also institutionalized the annual local content summit held annually, and the last time we held this was in February 2026 this year, and this was to encourage, showcase, promote, and strengthen local businesses here in Ghana. And then they also increased Ghanaian participation and in-country value in the mining sector. As I speak to you, we have some policy reforms and some other legislative reforms that we have laid before Parliament for consideration to strengthen local content that we are talking about today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, aside promoting local content, another important approach is the catchment compact, which we are supposed to be dialoguing on at this platform. The strength of this idea is that mining does not happen in isolation. A mine operates within a community with varied stakeholders. The benefit communities derived from mine operations cannot be limited to occasional meetings from mine operations and other stakeholders. What is important is that we should not sit down and allow companies to decide what they do in a form of CSR, but there should be a strategy to ensure that it becomes an obligatory on the part of these companies in order that they respond to the needs of the people. And I was just citing an example when I was talking to my colleague, a situation where in a form of a social responsibility to a community, you have a tennis court being built, and this tennis court is described as a corporate social intervention. I think that we need to move away from those interventions and touch the needs of the people. We need to involve the people when we are identifying these projects that we want to do for them. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Catchment Compact provides a platform to bring these different stakeholders around a common understanding of what needs to be achieved with a practicable conversation, and that's just what I've just spoken about. A young entrepreneur in Takwa, Obuasi, Prestia, or other mining communities can look at the mining industry and see a pathway for building businesses and acquiring skills. And so the focus is that much as we partner foreigners to do business here, we must be strategic in ensuring that they're able to transfer skills to the local people so that even when they are not here, we are able to use the local people and do whatever we're supposed to do for the benefit of the people. I want to digress small. I was in my constituency yesterday, and I announced to them that I'm going to set up an educational trust fund personally, and this trust fund is going to train people in the mining sector specifically. Why do I say so? If you go to my area, we have huge deposits of ore, and so many companies are going in there. Yes, we will ask them to employ our people. If they come and the people do not have the skills, you cannot compel them to employ them. So it behoves on us, the stakeholders, to train our people, to give them the requisite skills and knowledge, so that when these companies come, they are able to absorb them. When we do that, then the local content that we talk about will become more meaningful. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, the next issue has to do with social license to operate. Social license to operate is not something governments can issue with a stamp, neither is it something a company can purchase with additional funds. And our king just said it here. It is not something that the government can issue. Government can issue the certificate to go and mine, but if you don't have the social contract, forget it. You go and the resistance alone, you can't match it. And as I speak to you, we have so many companies that are faced with these problems. And from here, I'm going to chair a meeting that has to do with resolving some of these issues. So it's real that you cannot rely on only the license that you get from Minerals Commission, the license you get from EPA, but you must also earn the social contract to be able to do whatever you want to do as a miner. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is also important for me to mention that in all this, it is very vital to respect our traditional rulers. The land belongs to them, and even though the law allows us to take what is beneath there, and that it is the president that holds it in trust, you cannot have the pass to that land if you don't respect our chiefs. And so I call on miners, whether small scale, whether large scale, to respect our traditional authorities in order that you be able to get the social license that you require to be able to work. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that at the end of this conference, we will commit ourselves to the following. 1, build the capacity of Ghanaian businesses to make local procurement a stronger and a very strategic developmental tool. 2, we will make a deliberate attempt to prioritize skills development. And then 3, commit to implement development projects that are climate resilient and that are timely and sustainable. We talk about mining, and what is very important also to talk about is the environment. What are the strategies, what are the skills, what are the technologies we use in mining? If we don't get the right technology, we destroy the environment. And it's difficult these days when you ask a miner to reclaim. And so, yes, whilst we encourage them to reclaim, we must also get the appropriate technology to be able to mine responsibly. We need to also foster environmental protection even as we seek economic development. There is a balance that we have to strike in between our environment and the resources that we have there. We shouldn't focus on only the resources. We want to extract the ore at the expense of the environment that we have. And I think that this conversation should also be treated in a manner that we are able to make a headway in how we do mining and also ensure that our environment is not damaged. I also expect that we promote inclusivity by covering all stakeholders and groupings. And I'm happy to hear, as he was introducing those who are here, that almost everybody who matters is here. When we all come together and take a decision, we all own it, we all would then be ready to implement it. And we at the ministry are ready for your suggestions, for your input. And this government is a listening government, the president is a listening president, and my minister, the hard-working minister, who will listen to you. We take such platforms very, very important. Governance is not about a few people. It's about all of us working together. And we think that once you are here today, at the end of the day, whatever policies that you come out with, we will absorb them and my minister will run with them. In order that we are able to have an environment in which we are able to benefit, take the maximum benefit from the natural resources that we are bequeathed with. Mr. Chairperson, if we approach local content and catchment compact with sincerity, with accountability, and with the willingness to collaborate, we can build a mining sector that is not only productive, but trusted. Let this conference, therefore, be a place where we can move from good intentions to clear commitments, and from commitments to results. I think, again, you said it. I mean, it was your colleague who said it. We come for conferences, we come for programs like this, very laudable ideas, very good suggestions. But when we leave here, we shelve it. And then we go back to the very things that we were doing. It is our expectation that whatever decisions you take here, you will transcribe these decisions to the ministry, and the ministry can run with it. If we don't do that, then this whole platform, this whole exercise we are doing will not give us the maximum benefit that we want. And so the people of Ghana deserves nothing else. We deserve a consultative platform like this, and we will run with the ideas that you bring on board. On this note, let me thank you and wish every one of you here a fruitful deliberation. Long live Ghana, and long live everybody who is here. God bless you.
Thank you so much to the Deputy Minister of Land and Natural Resources. He's also the President's MP, and he's the Member of Parliament for Bole Bamboy constituency. A round of applause once again for him, please. Thank you so much. For those at the back, can you give me a wave? Yes. I hope you are following everything so far. Thank you. Thank you so much. We would introduce some very important personalities here, and then we would pick our next speech. The Chief Technical Officer and Head of Operations for the Minerals Income Investment Fund, Kwabena Banin, is here. Kwabena, thank you. Thank you for coming. A round of applause for him. He is here representing the MIF CEO. We also have a member of the Council of State, His Excellency Abuba Saka, here. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. He's a member of the Council of State. Let me also say a big welcome to the Member of Parliament for Dwabe in the Ashanti region, Francis Owusu-Achao. A round of applause for him. Yes. And you may have heard the presence of the former MP for Takwan Swayim, former Deputy Minister, Land and Natural Resources, the Honorable Mrekuduka Esquire. Yes, Honorable Mrekuduka Esquire is here. We also have the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Lawyer Eric Ejei. Good. Thanks for coming. We also have here joining us, and he will be speaking to us in a moment, the President of the Ghana Journalists Association here with us, Albet Jumfo. Yes. He's our president. He's also the president's president. Thank you for coming. When you move all the way to Takwa in Swayim, you know, there are several mining companies in Takwa, and the mining companies operate on a land belonging to a stool. That stool is the Apinto Divisional Stool. The Jasehine and administrator of the Apinto Divisional Stool is here with us, Dr. Nana Kwao Adakwa Bediakon the third. Nana Onkwaso Yedase. Thanks so much for coming. And you know, the 100% of the concession of Goldfields Takwa is on the Apinto Stool land. 100%. And I think 90% of manganese, right? Anglo Gold is also on Apinto Stool land. In the Apinto Akunya Nenya Kwenya Ketwa, when they say they don't Nana, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. We also have with us here the President of the Concerned Small Scale Miners Association. I introduced him earlier, Michael Pepra. Michael, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. And you may have heard of the presence of our senior colleague and the deputy spokesperson of the President of the Republic, who is coincidentally our next speaker. She is here representing the Honorable Chief of Staff to the President, Dr. Julius Deborah. A round of applause. Let's welcome Shamima Muslim. Please, you can do it better. You can do it better.
Very well. This one took me by surprise. I was waiting towards the end. I didn't realize I was coming up so soon. But anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It's very difficult to be asked by your boss to represent him at auspicious programs like this, because often you are not sure how to represent the speech in the voice and persona of your boss whilst maintaining your own voice and persona. So if I misrepresent my boss, the Honorable Julius Deborah, please, that is my mistake. So good afternoon once again, and it is a very distinguished honor to be doing this presentation. Chairperson, His Royal Majesty King Taki Teiko Churu II Gamanche, representatives of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Minerals Commission, and the Ghana Gold Board, who has been in the news for all the good reasons. When you're doing good, you catch the attention of those who matter. So, to the Gold Board CEO and all the hard-working workers and staff of CEO, keep doing good and ensure that Muchi Enguho. Leadership of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, mining companies, small-scale miners, licensed gold buyers, and service providers who are all here. And did I mention our beautiful Nananom, and our queen mothers who are all beautifully clad in our traditional attire. Also to representatives of the various district assemblies and host communities who are here, leadership of Semis DS Group, Multimedia Group, Ekosiseng, and Asempa, civil society organizations, academia, and my colleagues in the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all citizens who are joining us by radio, television, digital platforms, at home and across the diaspora. I bring you very warm greetings from His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, as well as his Chief of Staff, Dr. Julius Deborah, who would have loved to be here and was actually in readiness to be here, but for a cabinet meeting that is ongoing as we speak. Good afternoon. Minerals are finite. Human ingenuity is not. Thus, the true measure of mining in all of its forms is not simply what we take from the ground, it is what remains in the lives of the people who live above it. If gold leaves a community year after year, but clean water, decent roads, jobs, and opportunity do not arrive, something is wrong with the bargain. The national figures may look impressive. The experience in the catchment area would tell a different story. And that is why this dialogue matters. And that is why we must give a round of applause to Asempa for leading this charge. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Gone are the days when the media were just purveyors of the news, he said, she said. Today that story is different. The media are contributing to thought leadership and are creating platforms like this to amplify national discourse to all our collective benefits. President John Dramani Mahama's conviction is simple. Ghana's natural wealth must improve the lives of Ghanaians. And I commend Semis DS Group, the Multimedia Group, Ekosiseng, and Asempa for convening this platform that brings government, regulators, industry, small-scale miners, traditional leaders, and host communities to one viable table. This is a difficult conversation, and it belongs at a table wide enough for every affected voice. Mining remains one of the pillars of our economy. It provides foreign exchange, public revenue, employment, and business opportunities. In fact, mining is one of the oldest professions and industries globally. Ghana values the contribution of responsible investors, operators, and workers. Yet, a social license is not issued once in Accra and kept forever. It is granted by communities whose land, whose water, whose homes and livelihoods carry the industry's footprint. And it is renewed every day through trust. Now, trust grows when benefits are visible and verifiable, where local jobs are countable, contracts for Ghanaian businesses, skills, fair compensation, protected land and water, and community investments, all shaped with the people themselves. Government's position remains clear. Local content is a legal and economic obligation. It is not and must not be perceived as an act of charity. Corporate social responsibility matters. We welcome clinics, scholarships, roads, and community programs, but CSR cannot replace compliance with local content and local participation requirements. A donation cannot answer for procurement that excludes capable Ghanaian firms, create limited pathways for local workers, or undertakings that communities cannot verify and perhaps do not even want. Operators, therefore, must plan, report, demonstrate progress in employment, procurement, training, knowledge transfer, and Ghanaian participation. What is promised must be measurable. What is measured must be open to scrutiny. That is how local content becomes local prosperity. And that's how businesses become sustainable. And that is how government also recognizes they too must seek a social license to continue to govern the people rightly. Honesty also requires us to acknowledge unresolved grievances, including environmental damage, displacement, and land use conflicts. Government remains committed to lawful, responsible mining and effective enforcement. Each matter must be handled fairly, on evidence, and through the proper institutions. We cannot protect livelihoods while protecting our land and water. Ghana, I beg your pardon, we can actually protect livelihoods while protecting our land and water resources. Ghana should never be forced to choose between the two. The same balance must guide the formalization of small-scale mining. Government supports the Ghana Gold Board's work to strengthen traceability and create a regulated, transparent framework for the purpose of the purchase and sale of artisanal and small-scale gold. We heard that Ghana is now the 6th largest gold-producing country in the entire world. Yes, we may applaud, but that also brings us huge responsibility to look like the 6th largest gold-producing nation of the world. This will protect the integrity of our gold supply chain and help Ghana retain more value as we should. But formalization must not become a wall against vulnerability and security from opaque markets to fair markets, and from unsafe practices to responsible livelihoods. The artisanal miner should hear reform as an invitation to operate safely, lawfully, profitably. The public will judge our mining economy by two linked results: stronger national reserves and greater value retained in Ghana. Through the domestic gold purchase program and the gold board reform agenda, our gold should support monetary stability, gains which are tangible, which are transparent, which we are all feeling every day. And that is not a loss. It should also appear in Ghanaian payrolls, suppliers, taxes, royalties, enterprises, and stronger mining communities. Obuasi should look like gold. Progress on one side cannot excuse failure on the other. A Cashman Compact means every party accepts a duty. Government must provide clear rules and fair enforcement. Operators must honor the law and their commitments. Traditional and local leaders must steward community benefits transparently. Communities must be heard and remain engaged. Civil society and the media must keep, therefore, asking the hard questions without let or hindrance. I therefore welcome the proposed conference communique and the Cashman Charter. Let them be more than ceremonial documents. Let them state who will do what, when, and how progress will be measured and reported. Commitment should be realistic, measurable, time-bound, and public. That is how trust is built and rebuilt where it is broken. My years, and this is Chief speaking, my years in public service have taught me that good intentions alone do not improve lives. Delivery does. As Chief of Staff, not me, Dr. Julius Deborah, I am privileged to help translate President Mohammed's vision into results people can see and feel. Governments will listen, will coordinate, and will insist on accountability. It is not an easy journey, we recognize, but the commitment is real at the highest level. We ask the same seriousness of every partner. Let this dialogue mark a better relationship between mining and the communities that host it. One built on respect, responsibility, and shared benefit. Years from now, let it be said that Ghana did more than export gold. We used it wisely, or that we were a generation that captured the real value from our natural resources, that we strengthened our reserves, that we protected our water bodies whilst doing that, and that we built sustainable Ghanaian enterprises that will stand the test of time, that we protected our land also, above all, that we held corporates accountable for their misdeeds towards our shared heritage, that the wealth beneath our soil improved the lives of the people upon it. May our gold and all our other natural resources build a stronger, resilient Ghana, and may its first and clearest shine be seen in the communities that bear the weight of its extraction. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Congratulations to the organizers of this program, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Shamima Muslim. You can do it better for her, please. She's here representing the Chief of Staff to the President of the Republic. She is herself Deputy Spokesperson to His Excellency the President of our Republic. I was just told there are students who came all the way from Tamale to attend this national dialogue. Student from the University of Development Studies, Tamale. If you are here, let me see you by hand, please. Okay, so they are at the back. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Tamale. Thank you. Thank you so much for being part of this amazing event. Let me announce that we are live on Joy News on Multi TV and Adum TV on Multi TV and on all our social media handles. If you log on to YouTube now, subscribe to Asempa FM, you can watch this event live. Same for Joy News on YouTube and then on Facebook. You can watch this event live. I'm told we are also streaming live on the Gold Board pages on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So you can join on any of these platforms and get to watch us live. Very, very, very important. There is a team that accompanied the Garmanches. So the team from the Garmanches office, if you are here, please, you can give us a wave. Nananom from, okay, thank you. Thank you so much for coming, and God bless you. I just saw the MD for Gold Board Jewelry working in MFA. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, MFA, for coming. The Managing Director for Gold Board Jewelry. MFA Sorena Omuhu Kakre. Yeah, so that's the MD for Gold Board Jewelry. Yes. So Still Up would have a speech, so many speeches that would speak to the topic we are here discussing, and we would have panel discussions as well. So we would be having a presentation from, for example, the Ghana Medical Trust Fund. We get to take you through a journey on what they've done so far, what they are doing, and what they are about to do. The Gold Board CEO would also be here to present on some of the landmark initiatives they are implementing to sanitize the artisanal and small-scale mining sector. So Lawyer Sami Jemfi would be here speaking to us, and then some of our panelists are already seated. But before and the Minerals Commission would also be presenting. I spoke about this event and I said the large-scale mining companies have responsibilities. One of them is to strictly comply with the local content regulations. How many of us know in this room that this country has passed a local content regulation? If you know, let me see by hand. Local content regulation. Wow. Okay. So this local content regulation is what states how many Ghanaians large-scale mining companies would have to employ. It states which contract can be given to foreigners and to local companies. The Minerals Commission will tell us how well the large-scale mining companies are complying with this policy. And also, you may have heard of social license. Mining companies get their social license through how well they touch their host communities. And they do that through corporate social responsibility project. So we would delve a bit more into that and know how well these companies are doing relative to their CSR project. Very, very important. But before I pick the speech from the Minerals Commission, let's get to hear from our president. When I say our president, I mean president of the Ghana Journalist Association. You are aware the yeoman's job journalists in this country have done and are continuing to do to help in sanitizing our mining space. So without wasting much time, let me welcome the president of the Ghana Journalist Association, Albet Kwabena Jomfo. Oh, please, you can do it better for him. He is a big man, the president's president, to deliver his short address. Mr. President, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Obi, and your able team. I must admit that in recent years, Kosi Sen is the first political show host or a political program to host such a national dialogue or event. And we must commend you and your team for putting such together. Usually what we see is that journalists would want to stay within their domain.
and discharge their constitutional mandate. But you have thought outside the box, and want to commend you for putting this dialogue together. New chairman, His Royal Majesty King Taki Teku Chu II, Government Chair and the President of the Ghana Traditional Council. Representative of the Chief of Staff, my own dearest sister, Shamima, acknowledge your presence. The CEO of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Okoye, acknowledge your presence, Speaker. The former Deputy Minister of Mines, of Lands, my holy brother, Honorable Mreko Duka, the General Secretary of the Pinto Divisional Council, all protocols duly established. It is a pleasure to join you for this important national conversation on the future of mining in Ghana. The theme, rethinking the social license to operate, challenges us to look beyond the permit and license issued by the state and consider something deeper. Do the people in the communities where mining takes place believe that mining is working for them? That's a question. For me, that is where this conversation must begin. Mining has value, but value must be examined honestly. Let me begin by acknowledging an important reality. Mining has played and continues to play a significant role in Ghana's economy. It generates foreign exchange, creates employment, contributes taxes and royalties, supports businesses and sustains economic activity in many communities. The Ghana Chamber of Mines reported that its producing member companies contributed 17.68 billion in fiscal payment to government in 2024. That contribution matters. We must also acknowledge the work being undertaken by the Ghana Gold Board, particularly in formalizing the gold trade, strengthening traceability and seeking to retain greater value from Ghana's gold resources. Its gold processing activities have also contributed to the mobilization of foreign exchange. New Chairman, these are developments worth recognizing. As journalists, we must be fair enough to report what is working, just as we must be courageous enough to expose what is not working. But economic contribution cannot be the only measure of value. We must also ask, at what cost? Who benefits? Who bears the consequences? And what are we leaving behind when the minerals are gone? I'm not suggesting that Ghana should turn its back on mining. That would neither be realistic nor responsible. The question is rather, what kind of mining is Ghana prepared to accept? Mining that creates economic value, mining that respects communities, mining that meets high environmental standards, and mining that contributes to national development without leaving an environmental debt for future generations. Economic value must be considered alongside social and environmental responsibility. This is the balance we must pursue. Takwa, where the debate becomes personal. For me, this conversation is not theoretical. I come from Takwa, one of Ghana's historic mining areas. I have seen what mining can contribute. I have seen the businesses and livelihoods connected to the industry. I have seen the opportunities that mining can create for communities and individuals, but I have also seen the other side. I have witnessed the pressure mining can place on the environment, our lands, and our water bodies. For someone from a mining community, this debate is about more than statistics. It is about the river that people depend on. It is about farmland. It is about livelihoods. And it is about what happens to the community when the minerals are eventually exhausted. That experience has shaped my passion for responsible mining. As president of the Ghana Journalists Association and a member of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, I consider the fight against irresponsible and illegal mining a national responsibility and not a political slogan. The environment must be part of the mining equation. Illegal mining has placed enormous pressure on some of our rivers, forests, and farmlands. But behind every polluted river is a what? It's a human story. There is a community. There is a farmer. There is a household. There is a child. There is somebody who will eventually pay for damage. That is why we must look at mining beyond the gold extracted from the ground. Gold has economic value, but so does water. So does fertile land. So does a healthy environment. And once these resources are seriously damaged, restoring them is not as simple as replacing a lost financial figure. The real question, therefore, is whether Ghana can benefit from its mineral resources while protecting the natural system that sustains life. That is not an argument against mining. It is an argument for responsible mining. New chairman, social licenses must be earned. This brings me back to the theme of this dialogue. A mining company may have obtained every legal permit required to operate, but a legal license does not automatically guarantee acceptance by the community. A license gives you the right to operate. Trust gives you the social license to operate, and trust must be earned. It is built through meaningful consultation, transparency, fair compensation, environmental responsibility, and genuine engagement with host communities. People want to know what is being mined, what they stand to gain, and what happens when the operation ends. They want to be heard before decisions are made, not after problems emerge. Mining companies must therefore recognize that host communities are not obstacles to development. They are partners in development. Social license is not a public relations exercise. It is a relationship that must be built, respected, and maintained. The media must also be accountable. As president of the GJ, I must also speak frankly about the role of the media. We have spent years demanding accountability from government, mining companies, and regulators. But we cannot demand accountability from others while exempting ourselves. The media must be guided by truth, accuracy, independence, and fairness. We must verify before publishing. We must investigate before accusing. We must give all sides a fair opportunity to respond. And we must follow the evidence, not the noise. We must also resist sensationalism. A dramatic headline may generate clicks, but inaccurate reporting can damage reputations, distort public debate, and undermine public confidence. The media must inform, not inflame. Our responsibility is to scrutinize government policy, examine mining companies' obligations, investigate illegal mining networks, and give affected communities a voice. But fairness also requires us to report what is working. Where mining companies create jobs, support communities, and meet their obligations, those stories deserve to be told. And where they do not, we deserve to say the same. Where government interventions produce results, we should acknowledge them. Where regulators perform effectively, we should report that too. Our role is not to be an enemy of mining. Neither should we become a public relations department for the mining industry. We must remain independent. The GJA will continue to promote specialized training for journalists covering mining, environmental issues, finance, and regulation. A journalist cannot effectively interrogate an industry he or she does not understand. We will encourage stronger fact-checking, investigative reporting, responsible use of data, and correction of errors. Because our credibility is our greatest asset. If we lose the public trust, we lose the authority to hold others accountable. We will go to the Galamsey front lines, and I mean the media will go to the Galamsey front lines. The GJ is determined to take this conversation beyond this conference room. The association will soon organize a one-week dialogue and symposium on the Galamsey crisis with partners and key stakeholders. More importantly, we will take the conversation to the ground. I will lead a team of veteran and experienced journalists on a nationwide tour of communities and sites affected by illegal mining. We will go into the field to see the situation ourselves. We will examine the condition of rivers and lands. We will speak to the affected communities. We will engage miners, farmers, traditional leaders, regulators, and other relevant stakeholders. And we will assess how the fight against Galamsey mining has progressed under the current government. Our regional chapters, or regional branches and chapters, will lead this exercise in their respective regions because they understand the communities and the realities on the ground. Let me make one point clear. This exercise will be independent of government. We will, however, partner with credible development partners, donors, experts, and other stakeholders where necessary to ensure the process is properly resourced and evidence-based. What happens when the gold is gone? There's another question that every mining project must answer. What happens when the minerals are gone? This question should not be asked when the mine is closing. It should be asked from the beginning. Will the land be restored? Will alternative livelihoods exist? Will young people have skills and opportunities? Will infrastructure remain? Will the local economy survive? The mining community should not be left with abandoned pits, degraded land, and a broken local economy. The end of mining should not mean the end of opportunities. If mining is to be sustainable, communities must be left with restored land, skills, infrastructure, and hope for the future. New chairman, a new compact for mining. Ghana needs a stronger compact among government, mining companies, traditional authorities, communities, regulators, and the media. Government must regulate firmly and fairly. Mining companies must operate responsibly and earn the confidence of their host communities. Traditional leaders and communities must protect the resources entrusted to them. Regulators must enforce the rules consistently. And the media must remain independent, professional, and vigilant. Most importantly, all of us must recognize that the future of mining cannot be separated from the future of the communities where mining takes place. If communities feel excluded, trust will disappear. If the environment is destroyed, the cost will eventually be borne by everyone. If illegal mining networks are allowed to flourish, the problem will persist regardless of how many excavators are seized. And if institutions fail to enforce the law consistently, public confidence will continue to weaken. Conclusion, new chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you not only as the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, but as a son of Tapa, a gold mining community. I know the promise of mining. I also know what happens when responsibility is lost. That is why I'm not calling for the end of mining. I'm calling for mining that Ghana can be proud of. Mining that creates opportunities, mining that protects our land and water, mining that pays its fair share, mining that plans for life after the minerals are gone, and mining that can look the next generation in the eye. As journalists, we will continue to ask the difficult questions. We will investigate. We will give communities a voice. And where necessary, we will hold power to account. Whoever owes it, because ultimately, this debate is bigger than government. It is bigger than mining companies. It is bigger than the GJA. It is about Ghana. And when our children ask what we did with the resources entrusted to our generation, I want us to be able to say, we developed Ghana without destroying it. That is the standard we should set. That is the responsibility before us. And that is the Ghana I believe is worth fighting for. Thank you, and God bless you all. And God bless our homeland, Ghana.
So thank you so much. President of the Ghana Journalist Association, Mr. Albet Jumfor, for that fantastic speech. Thank you.